Right, sensory experiments for this month, taken from the book Humankind, 10 Rules for Living. So I'll give a short summary of each rule and then a creative practice to explore. Principle number 1, assume the best. People are kinder than we expect. Start from trust. The sensory experiment for this principle is called heart-hand breathing, taken from pranayama and somatics. So the invitation is to start the morning by placing your right hand on your heart and your left hand open, just wherever is comfortable. And then with the inhale, you would repeat a word which helps you to soften and relax. The word could just be soften, and noticeably feel that the body is grounding, resting, opening. And then on the exhale, we could use a word like trust. Inhale, soften, exhale, just gently repeating the word trust. Not in a naive way, but simply allowing the instinct, the self, and others to be trusted. And then you go into the day and assume that people are doing their best, keeping that idea in mind. See how this changes your day and your interactions with people. Number 2, think win-win. Collaboration creates better outcomes than competition. So for this sensory experiment, we'll start with breath again, pranayama. And there's a link in the text to practice nadi shodhana. Nadi shodhana is basically, for those who are not familiar, alternate nostril breathing. It helps to balance the different hemispheres of the brain. Moving from that place, once you've practiced nadi shodhana for just a couple of minutes even, then you would bring to mind a current discord or conflict that you're having with someone else. Then ask, what would benefit both of us here? And just see how practicing something in the body which helps to balance, and then asking the question, what would be mutually beneficial, what would benefit both of us? See what arises. Number 3, ask more questions. Curiosity dissolves conflict. So this sensory experiment is actually self-reflective, but it can give an indication of what happens when we ask the self why. So even if you're speaking with someone else, being more curious towards them and their thoughts could be helpful. So for this sensory experiment though, it's called the 3 whys, and it's sort of along the lines of jungian shadow work. You would choose a situation that irritates you, and then you would just sit quietly and ask why, and let whatever bubble up. You do this 3 times, and you just let each answer soften the next. So number 4, temper empathy and train compassion. It's been shown actually that empathy can be overwhelming, whereas compassion is sustaining. This experiment, the tonglen meditation from the Tibetan tradition, helps us to be able to hold space rather than absorb other people's emotions. It's a practice that we can then take into the world. I've put in again a link if you want to read a bit more about it, but basically you first start by focusing steadfastly on holding compassion in the heart. So you first are balanced, strong in the heart, and able to hold. Then you would inhale and imagine receiving someone's struggle as dark smoke. It can be someone you know or someone that you don't know, but you've seen that they're having difficulty. So you take in that struggle as dark smoke, but you don't let it absorb into you. You watch it transform with the heart of compassion, and you exhale and you offer back ease or warmth. This practice basically embraces rather than rejects painful aspects of experience. And it helps us to overcome fear and develop compassion. And that can look like in everyday life, basically keeping our nervous system soft and open while letting others' emotions pass through, so that we can stay regulated and actually help. Okay. Number 5, try to understand the other. Understanding is not necessarily agreeing. So this is from the creative arts. The idea is to do a perspective sketch or journal. When we understand others, even if we disagree, we're more likely to have honest conversations rather than just shutting down or dismissing. You would do a quick 1-minute sketch, basically from the other person's point of view or imagined point of view. It's not that you're going to be necessarily accurate, but it's a sensing into. Alternatively, you can do a creative writing version where you would just journal for a couple of minutes from the other person's point of view. What do they hope for? What are they afraid of? What do they believe? Number 6, love your own as others love their own. Everyone is someone's beloved. This is a nice practice if you're in traffic or you're just waiting in a queue. And basically, the idea is that it's been shown that humans identify more with people who are like them in their group. Those who are very different from us, we have a bit of a barrier. This practice helps us to see that strangers or those who are different from us have their own circles of care. And when we remember this, it closes that psychological distance between us and them. So next time when you're waiting in the traffic or a queue, basically you would imagine in these vehicles the world that these other people are inhabiting. They're loved and they're cherished. Imagine their life spheres, their families, friends, pets. And then you just silently wish them well, wish them to be at ease and to be safe. It's nice. It turns mindless commuting into this nice short practice of compassionate recognition. Number 7, avoid the news. Oh, avoid the news. Not in-depth journalism. It's not about being ignorant. It's just that daily, constant barrage of chronic negativity. It really distorts reality, and it's been shown to be a mental health issue, truly. This sensory experiment is called reorient to reality. If you're still checking the news regularly, just ask yourself, okay, when do I do this? And this month, skip a few of those checks. And if you don't watch the news but you scroll Instagram or whatever you feel like might be distorting your reality, you can replace the news. But if you are a news checker, just skip a few of the regular checks and instead step outside. Notice 5 sounds, 5 colors, and 5 things that you're really grateful for. And this helps to reorient to our lived reality. Number 8, this is a direct quote from the book. Don't punch Nazis, which basically is getting to the fact that we want to choose non-violence because violence strengthens extremists, and it's about discouraging cynical, aggressive reactions that feed into this extremist narrative and validates people in those types of worldviews. The sensory experiment is a kind of a boundaries practice. Most of us are not physically vicious, but we might speak violently. It means how do we respond without dehumanizing, insulting, and how do we choose clarity over aggression? You would imagine facing someone you disagree with strongly, and you would practice sentences stating your disagreement, and each sentence would be honest, it would be precise, and it would be free of insults. Just speak slowly, feel your words, and let them land without escalating conflict. We can just be firm and non-violent. Number 9, don't be ashamed to do good. Kindness is contagious, so be visible with it. This sensory experiment is called public generosity practice. Making goodness visible can actually really shift norms, behaviors, and institutions even. When we consciously notice and dwell in acts of kindness, just simple things like drivers letting others in, random smiles, and all of us more or less cooperating to keep the world moving, we're wired to respond to that generosity. And not just to receive it, but to pay it forward. So if we really notice it, then we feel more generous and we want to be more generous. First of all, notice generosity in general. And then the next part of the practice is to make a commitment to do 1 public kindness per week. And it's not for recognition, it's so others can see goodness in action. And you can reflect on how this might ripple out into the world. Number 10. Be realistic, as in hope is not naive, it's evidence-based. It's not naive to be hopeful, guys. There are some very real truths about our kindness. This sensory experiment is called the morning hope grounding. And when you get out of bed, you would simply sit or stand with your feet on the ground. You feel your breath drop into the belly. and call to mind one personal experience or one historical example of human goodness. For example, the Christmas truce in 1914, where those guys got out of their trenches to spend time together. Let realism and hope coexist. That's it for this month. Enjoy the world, friends.